Though the stakes of serving in the military often have no real comparison to those of playing for one's team, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, cross country, field hockey, whatever sport it might be, there's no real comparison to serving in the military. But there still is an inescapably similar dynamic between those two entities. When you go to a baseball game or just a sporting event of any kind, really, there's almost always an effort to connect the two. Military service members typically receive, free tickets to games or are honored between innings or half times of baseball or basketball games. The national anthem is sung before every game, as is God Bless America. It's not the same treatment that you might receive at, say, a Broadway play, a movie theater, an opera, or something like that, but that's because there are more linking characteristics between sports and military that you don't see in other mediums. Sports celebrates similar values such as, camaraderie, celebration of strength and abilities, hierarchy, or in this sense, coaching and training as well. In this course, we discuss the idea of gifted coaches and gifted athletes. A gifted coach has a responsibility to develop gifts of athletes. Athletes, conversely, improve their skills through what Professor Arnold calls deep practice, which is the idea of using failures to help improve upon one's natural gifts. When we looked at the military, we see different ranks and different abilities, people in charge of others, and respect earned up and down the hierarchy ladder, from everything from private to sergeant to major. There's a set of standards for roles. It's all part of, being something that's greater than yourself, whether that's, whether you're on a team of some sort, baseball, basketball, whatever team it may be, or, part of, whether you are a private or a major or sergeant, whether you're part of those two entities, you're really a part of something that is greater than yourself, whatever your title might be. And that's what kind of makes the similarity in this case. It's all being part of a team, and whatever team that might really be. There's still the clearly consistent themes between the two. A look at the Olympics shows a different host of parallels. For one, we know with sports, as with war, there's a driving force for patriotism. Representing one's country is almost a form of heroism. And it's probably contributing to why a great number of athletes, have served. If you look at World War II, a lot of baseball players left to go serve. And, it's something that even continues to this day, really. Players, and athletes feeling the need to serve, as with anybody, really. With the Olympics, as with sport, as with war, there's a great respect for abilities. You look at Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens was a runner who gained the respect of Germany in 1936 despite being black. At a time when being black in Germany probably wasn't the most welcome thing. But he, really took the world by storm with his amazing running ability. It forced him to gain the respect of even the leaders at the time, people like Adolf Hitler and others, in charge of the Nazi Germany. Really, there was just something greater than being black, being, American, being whatever it was. He was an amazing athlete, and that's what mattered. And you can kind of see why that matters through the use of medals, and whether that be, Purple Heart, which shows great heroism, or, gold medal, which shows fantastic ability. With a medal like that, there's an undeniable respect that goes with it. You see that medal, and there's just an automatic respect that, trumps all biases or trumps anything else, because it shows heroism or ability. It just something that is greater than anything else, really. Awards have the power to really be seen across the two mediums of sports and war. There are so many ways to really compare the military and the armed forces with sports. Whether it be, gender and sexuality issues. It still feels like don't ask, don't tell. In a lot of ways, it still applies to sports, even though, several athletes have come out over the past year. There's there's still those same issues in the military, although you'd like to think they're heading in a more accepting direction. It still feels like those two, sports and the military, they still have similar issues, when it comes to that. Um, there are those comparisons, there are those dynamics. Like I said, the stakes aren't the same. You can go up to plate in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs and the bases loaded of a baseball game, and it doesn't compare to serving for your country. The heroism of hitting a walk-off home run doesn't compare to saving another man's life or another woman's life. But in a lot of ways, the dynamics, as I expressed earlier, really are similar between those two. And that's what I find most interesting.